There are voices from the past that whisper like wind through ancient forests, soft, but powerful, carrying truths that outlive time itself. These are not lessons written in books or shouted from modern walls. They are truths born from the earth, from rivers, from the wide open sky, reminders that we belong to the land, not the other way around. The wisdom of native ancestors, passed down through generations around campfires and quiet nights, does not tell us how to live by rules. Instead, it asks us to remember something we've always known, that life is sacred when lived in harmony. An elder once sat by a fire, under a blanket of stars, surrounded by children waiting for his words. He spoke slowly, each word as deliberate as a drop of water falling into stillness. Only when the last tree is cut, the last fish taken, and the last river poisoned will we understand we cannot eat money. His voice carried the weight of generations, a warning that wealth is meaningless without the life that sustains us. In chasing what we think matters, gold, power, possessions, we risk forgetting the very source of life itself. There is a story told from one village to another about the two wolves that live in every human heart. One wolf is anger, greed, envy, and fear. The other is kindness, courage, love, and hope. A young boy once asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" The old man smiled, his eyes deep as if holding the secrets of the universe, and replied, "The one you feed." These teachings are not meant to frighten us. They remind us of choice, that every day, every thought, every action, is a decision about which wolf will grow stronger. We are born crying while the world rejoices, but true wisdom is to live so that, when our time comes, the world cries and we smile. The elders often say, "Let your words have less thunder, and your hands hold more lightning." It means action is the true language of honor. Words alone fade like smoke, but deeds, true deeds, leave a mark that time cannot erase. Another saying warns, "Listen, or your tongue will make you deaf." So many speak, yet few truly hear. To live wisely is to listen deeply to others, to the land, to the quiet voice within. Knowledge and wisdom are not the same. Seek wisdom, not knowledge, the elders say. Knowledge belongs to the past. It is memory, facts, and stories. But wisdom is the path that guides the future. Wisdom is knowing what truly matters when all else is stripped away. Strength, too, is misunderstood by many. Real strength does not come from having weak enemies, but from growing stronger yourself. A true warrior does not hope for easy battles. He prays for a worthy challenge so that if he wins, he can stand tall with honor. "Make my enemy strong and brave," they say, "so that if I defeat him, I will not be ashamed." One of the most profound teachings is about empathy. Do not judge your neighbor until you have walked moons in his moccasins. Every soul carries burdens we cannot see. To understand someone, we must step into their life, feel their path beneath our feet, and see the world through their eyes. The elders remind us that death is not the end. They are not truly gone who live on in the hearts they leave behind. Memories, love, and stories carry a spirit further than any body ever could. Native wisdom values silence. There is nothing as eloquent as the tale of a rattlesnake, they say, a reminder that true strength does not need to shout. Truth, when spoken, resonates on its own. There is also this belief: it is less a burden to be poor than to be dishonest. Wealth means nothing if it comes at the cost of one's honor. A man who loses his honesty is far poorer than one who has nothing at all. Courage is central to their teachings. The brave man dies once, but the coward dies many times. A life lived in fear is no life at all. One day of courage is worth more than a lifetime of fear. The lessons continue, quiet but powerful. Like embers glowing in the dark, a bird who has eaten cannot fly with a bird who is hungry. Each life has its own path, its own timing. We cannot compare our journey with another's. As the fire crackled and the stars shifted above the elder's head, his voice carried on, weaving stories not just to be heard, but to be remembered. His gaze was fixed on the horizon as if he could see beyond time itself, into the lives of those who had walked before and those yet to come. Cherish youth, he said softly, but trust old age. Youth may bring strength, daring, and fire, but it is old age that carries the map of the soul. Wrinkles are not marks of weakness. They are lines of experience etched by laughter, tears, and the battles of life. There is wisdom only found when one stops searching endlessly for it and instead begins living the life intended by the Creator. Wisdom is not something you chase, it is something you allow to grow, like grass that quietly rises from the soil without asking for applause. The elder reached for a stick and drew a circle in the dirt. Not every sweet root will grow sweet grass, he murmured. Appearances deceive. What looks good on the surface can sometimes hold bitterness inside. So, he taught, always look deeper beyond the smile, beyond the gold, beyond the first impression. Life is not always what it seems, and truth often hides in places where only patience can uncover it. He spoke of the land next. Take only what you need, he said, and leave the earth as you found it. These were not just words, but a way of life. The earth does not belong to us, we belong to it. Every tree, every river, every mountain is a relative, not a resource. To live in harmony with the earth is to honor life itself. To take without care is to steal from the generations yet to be born. It is not enough to cry for peace, the elder continued, his tone firm now. We must act peace, live peace, breathe peace. Peace is not just a wish, it is a daily practice. It is found in the way we treat one another, in the way we speak, in the way we move through the world. His voice grew softer, like the wind through leaves. When a man moves away from nature, his heart hardens. We are, after all, born of the earth. To forget this connection is to forget who we are. A man who loses touch with the rivers and the forest loses a part of his soul. Beware of the man who does not speak, he added after a pause, and the dog that does not bark. Some dangers come silently. The loudest threats are often harmless, while the quiet ones hide their true strength. Listen to silence, for it often tells more than noise. The elder turned his gaze to the shadows flickering against the firelight. Our pleasures are shallow, he said, but our sorrows run deep. Joy is fleeting if it is not built on meaning, but sorrow often digs deep roots, teaching lessons that joy never could. It does not take many words to speak the truth, he reminded them. A single sentence of truth is worth more than 1,000 lies dressed in fine clothes. In a world that loves chatter, the one who speaks little but speaks truth is the rarest treasure. Then, with a smile, he looked at the youngest among them. Do not let yesterday use up too much of today, he said gently. The past is a teacher, not a chain. To live today burdened by yesterday is to waste both. He leaned closer to the fire and said, a wise man can be as gentle as a dove, because his heart is as sharp as a serpent's mind. True wisdom does not need to shout or strike. It moves with quiet confidence, knowing when to yield and when to act. The elder spoke of hardship too. Poverty, he said, is a noose that strangles humility and breeds disrespect. He did not glorify suffering, but he understood its power. It can teach, but it can also destroy if we let it harden our hearts. His tone softened again. Remember, your children are not your own, he said, looking into the night sky. They are gifts lent to you by the Creator. To raise a child is not to control them, but to guide them, to show them the way without forcing their steps. He chuckled, remembering an old saying, walk lightly in the spring. Mother Earth is pregnant. It was both a metaphor and a truth. Nature is always creating, always giving life. To walk with respect is to honor that constant rebirth. Ask questions with your heart, the elder added, and you will receive answers from the heart. The mind can be clever, but the heart holds truths the mind cannot touch. Finally, he spoke of death, and the fire seemed to grow still. There is no death, he said, only a change of worlds. To them, death was not an ending but a transition, a doorway to another place, another way of being. He stared into the flames, and with a voice that carried both sorrow and hope. He asked, "What is life?" And then he answered his own question. Life is the brief flash of a firefly in the night. It is the breath of a buffalo in winter. It is the shadow that dances across the grass and disappears with the sunset. The night deepened, and the elder's words blended with the sound of the wind sighing through the trees. The children, silent now, were captivated by the rhythm of his voice, not just the stories, but the life pulsing within them. He leaned forward, his withered hands tracing invisible patterns in the air as though he was weaving an invisible thread that connected everyone around the fire. Life, he began again, is not just what we see, but what we feel and remember. The earth remembers every step we take. Our ancestors watch the way we treat this world. He looked down at the embers, glowing like tiny stars on the ground. If you want to live with honor, learn to walk gently, not only on the land, but in the hearts of others. The elder shared a story from his youth. He spoke of a time when he believed strength meant speaking loudly, asserting his will, and demanding respect. But one day, an older hunter told him, "The most powerful lightning is silent until it strikes." From that day, he understood that true power doesn't boast. It is quiet, precise, and unstoppable when the moment is right. Words, he said, are like arrows. Once released, they cannot return, so choose them with care. Listen more than you speak, for your own tongue can make you deaf to the wisdom around you. He paused to look at the faces of his listeners. Too often, people chase knowledge, but forget wisdom. Knowledge fills the mind, but wisdom fills the soul. Knowledge tells you how to build a bow. Wisdom tells you when to shoot the arrow, or when to let it rest. A log in the fire cracked, sending a spray of sparks into the dark. The elder smiled faintly. The enemy's weakness does not make us strong. It is our own spirit that determines our power. A true warrior prays for a strong opponent, for only then is victory worth having. He told them of a young man who had judged another without understanding his life. The elder shook his head. "Do not judge a man until you have walked to moons in his moccasins," he said. "It is easy to speak of someone as failures when you have not carried their burdens." The conversation shifted to the mystery of life and death. "They are not gone," he whispered, "those who still live in the hearts of others. Every story told about them keeps their spirit alive." He lifted his hand, pointing to the stars. "Look there. Do you see the ancestors? They are watching, not to judge, but to remind you to live fully." He leaned back and closed his eyes for a moment, then continued. "The tale of a rattlesnake says more than words. It speaks with warning, with truth. You need not shout to be heard. You only need to be true." The elder's tone hardened slightly. "Dishonesty is a far heavier burden than poverty. A man without riches can still walk tall, but a man who lies to himself and others is bent before he even starts his day. A brave man dies only once," he continued. "He faces his fears, his fate, and his challenges with courage, but a coward dies many times. Every day, he lets fear steal his life. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to stand in spite of it." The fire hissed as a log shifted, and the elder chuckled softly. "When you face your enemies, do not wish them weak. Wish them brave, for only then is your victory worth remembering. A true enemy teaches you more than a false friend." He turned his gaze toward the darkened sky. "The bird who is full cannot fly with the bird who is hungry. We all move at our own pace. Comparing your path with another's will only bring you sorrow. Your hunger, your dreams, your lessons, they are your own." He looked back at the young ones, his face lit by the flickering fire. "Cherish your youth," he said, "but do not mistake it for wisdom, and trust old age, for it has walked through storms you have not yet seen." The elder took a deep breath, his words slowing. "Wisdom comes when we stop trying to collect it like stones. It arrives when we begin living the way the Creator intended. We cannot force it, we can only open our hearts and let it come." He leaned forward again, his voice low, almost a whisper. "Take what you need, but never more. Leave the earth as you found it, or better. Every tree, Every river is not just nature, they are our family. Treat them with respect. His tone grew firm. Peace is not just something we talk about, we must live it, breathe it, act it. Words of peace mean nothing if our hearts remain at war. The fire was burning lower now, casting long, soft shadows across the faces of those listening. The elder's voice grew deeper, carrying the weight of truths that had been handed down for generations. He closed his eyes for a moment, as if listening to the whispers of the night before he spoke again. When a man moves away from nature, he said, his heart grows hard. He gestured toward the dark forest beyond them. Look at the trees. They do not hurry. They do not fight for attention. They simply grow. And in their stillness, they teach us how to live. But when we lose that connection, when we forget the sound of the river, the smell of the earth, the warmth of the sun, we lose a piece of ourselves. He let the silence linger before adding, beware of the man who never speaks, and beware of the dog that never barks. The quiet ones often carry the strongest bite. Danger rarely announces itself with noise. The elder stirred the fire with a stick, sending a shower of sparks into the night sky. Our pleasures are shallow, he said, but our sorrows run deep. He looked into the flames as though seeing a memory. Joy can be light as the wind, here one moment and gone the next. But pain stays, and if you listen closely, it will teach you what joy cannot. He tilted his head slightly, his eyes gleaming. It does not take many words to speak the truth. Truth is not a loud thing, it is quiet, but it is sharp like an arrow. Be careful with your words, for too many can drown out what matters most. Then his gaze softened, almost fatherly. Don't let yesterday use up too much of today. The past is not meant to hold you captive. Learn from it, bow to it, but do not let it steal the life you still have left to live. He leaned closer, his voice carrying a quiet strength. If a man is as wise as the serpent, he can afford to be as harmless as a dove. Do not mistake gentleness for weakness. True wisdom allows you to be calm because you know when and how to strike. The elder paused again, his face thoughtful. Poverty, he said, is like a noose around the neck. It can choke humility and breed anger, even disrespect for the Creator and for man. But do not think wealth is the answer. What matters is balance, the ability to live with enough and still walk with grace. The firelight flickered across his weathered face as he continued. Your children, he said softly, are not your possessions. They are gifts, lent to you by the Creator. You do not own them. Your task is to guide them with love, to show them the way without chaining them to your own fears. He smiled faintly. Walk lightly in the spring, he said, for Mother Earth is pregnant. The image hung in the air like a prayer. Everything around us is alive, breathing, growing. To walk without care is to trample on something sacred. The elder touched his chest, over his heart. Ask questions from here, he said, and the answers will come from here. He tapped his heart again, reminding them that not all truths are found in the mind. Logic will guide your steps, but the heart will guide your soul. As the fire dimmed, his voice took on a tone of deep reverence. There is no death, he whispered, only a change of worlds. We fear the unknown, but the unknown is just another path. Like the setting sun, it is not gone. It has simply moved to another sky. He leaned back, eyes gazing at the heavens. What is life? He asked, his voice no more than a murmur. It is the flash of a firefly in the dark. It is the breath of a buffalo in winter. It is the shadow that runs across the grass and disappears with the sunset. Life is brief, fragile, and beautiful, and that is why we must live it well. The flames in the fire pit had burned lower, leaving glowing embers that pulse like the heartbeat of the earth. The elder's voice, though softer now, carried the same quiet authority, as though each word had been carved from stone and carried through centuries. Life, he began once more, is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. Too often, we rush through life, chasing things that will never fill us. We collect objects, titles, and fleeting applause, forgetting that the greatest treasures are invisible: peace, honor, and the love we give. He turned to the youngest among them, his eyes warm. Do you know why our ancestors spoke less, but meant more? They believed that each word was sacred. They would rather remain silent than speak something that wasn't true. The more we talk, the more we risk losing the meaning behind our words. If you have nothing better to say than silence, then let silence speak. A light breeze rustled through the trees, carrying the scent of pine and earth. The elder smiled faintly. Ultimate strength, he said, is not found in constant battles or endless victories. True greatness lies in defeating an enemy without even lifting a weapon, when your wisdom and presence alone disarm their hostility. He leaned closer to the fire, watching the embers shift. Look at nature. It does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. The rivers find their way, the trees grow, the seasons change, all without force. We humans, in our restlessness, try to control everything. But the truth is, life flows best when we allow it to. His tone grew firm, like a teacher addressing a vital lesson. Do not do to others what you do not wish done to yourself. It is the oldest, simplest rule, and yet it is the one most easily forgotten. When you act with respect and kindness, you create a ripple that returns to you in time. The elder's eyes grew distant, as though seeing beyond the present. Justice, he said, moves slowly, its wheels grind fine but slow. Those who do wrong may seem to prosper for a time, but their actions will return to them as surely as the seasons turn. He looked up at the stars, his voice lowering to a gentle whisper. From the moment we are born, we begin the slow walk toward death. This is not something to fear. It is simply the nature of all things. But how we walk that path, whether with honor or regret, makes all the difference. The elder paused, then added, study the past if you wish to understand the future. The stories of our ancestors hold the keys to the choices we make today. The lessons of those who came before us are not dead, they are alive, breathing in our decisions. His gaze moved across the faces gathered around him. It is easy to love a friend, he said. The true test is loving those who have hurt you. Your enemy is not just someone who opposes you. They are a mirror, showing you the parts of yourself you may have forgotten or ignored. He tapped a finger against his knee. Knowledge is a treasure, but it is useless without practice. Wisdom comes from using what you know, from walking the talk. You can read 1,000 scrolls, but if you never act with courage, what good are they? The elder's voice grew sharper, as though he wanted to pierce through their thoughts. Bad habits cannot be overcome tomorrow. They can only be defeated today by choosing differently in this very moment. Procrastination is the greatest thief of life. He gestured toward the fire. Who truly knows? He asked. The ones who speak the loudest often know the least. Real wisdom does not seek applause. It humbles itself. It does not shout, "Look at me." It simply shines. The elder took a deep breath. Do not put your trust in a man who has nothing left to lose. Desperation can turn even the kindest heart into something dangerous. Choose your companions wisely, for they shape your path as much as your own choices do. A faint smile crept onto his face. Choose a work you love, he said softly, and you will never feel like you're working a single day. True joy comes not from toil, but from finding purpose in what you do. He reached for a stick, poking at the fire to coax out a faint flame. Plan for the difficult while it is easy. Start great things while they are still small. Every mountain begins as a single stone. It is those who prepare early, who see ahead, that succeed. He looked back at them, his eyes gleaming in the dim light. Those who talk too much will fail, for they drown themselves in noise. Life is simple, he said with a sigh. But we humans, with our restless minds, insist on making it complicated. The elder's voice softened as he looked into the dark woods. Life is a series of natural, flowing changes. Do not fight them, that only brings sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things unfold as they will, he smiled gently. Remember, the past cannot be changed, no matter how much we wish it. Look forward, for that is where life is waiting. Your enemy is simply a friend who knows too much about you, someone who can teach you a lesson if you have the courage to listen. The embers of the fire glowed faintly now, as though they, too, were listening to the final words of the elder. His voice was softer, yet each word carried a depth that sank into the hearts of those gathered. He gazed at the night sky, the stars reflecting in his eyes like memories long held. Victory over others gives you strength, he began, but victory over yourself gives you fearlessness. The greatest battles are not fought on battlefields, but within your own mind and heart. Defeating your pride, your fear, your doubts, this is where true power lives. He picked up a handful of soil and let it trickle through his fingers. Give a man a bowl of rice, and he will eat for a day, he said. Teach him to grow his own rice, and he will never hunger again. The same is true for wisdom. Do not simply take answers from others. Learn how to seek them yourself, and you will never be lost. The elder's tone sharpened for a moment. Disorder comes from order, fear from courage, and weakness from strength. Everything contains its opposite. If you cling too tightly to one side, the other will rise up to balance you. This is the way of life. He looked at them, his expression grave. Do not seek too much, or you will lose yourself. Sometimes, the more you chase, the more what you seek slips through your fingers. When you stop grasping, that is when life offers what you need most. The elder leaned on his staff. It does not matter how slow you go, he said with a faint smile, as long as you do not stop. The mountain is climbed one step at a time. Those who persist, those who take one small, patient step after another are the ones who reach the peak. He tapped his fingers on the wooden staff. A wise craftsman never rushes his work. Do not sharpen your knife endlessly, for it will become dull. Do not fill your bowl to the brim, or it will spill. Moderation is the key to mastery. Then his eyes softened, as though remembering old friends. Friends, he said, are the siblings God forgot to give us. Treat them with care, treasure them, for they are the ones who make life's burdens lighter and its joys brighter. He looked at the flickering fire, his voice almost like a whisper now. It is better to light a single candle than to curse the darkness. Complaining changes nothing, but one small act of hope can push away the shadows. The elder paused, letting the silence stretch like a gentle river. Every creature fights when cornered, he said. Even the smallest bird, even the tiniest animal with horns will protect itself when threatened. Do not mistake quietness for weakness. There is strength hidden in the smallest hearts. He nodded, as if agreeing with some thought only he could hear. The one who knows but pretends not to know is wise. The one who knows nothing but pretends to know is sick. Humility, he said, is the path to true learning. He traced a line in the dirt with his stick. Tell me, and I will forget. Show me, and I may remember. Involve me, and I will understand. This is the way of all teaching. Wisdom is not given, it is experienced. The elder's face turned serious. Care too much about what people think, and you will always be their prisoner. Live for yourself, for the truth inside you, not for the applause of the crowd. He leaned forward, his voice rising just slightly. When you dig a well, you must keep digging until you find water. If you stop at 70 feet, you may miss it by just one more strike. The same is true for life. Success often lies just beyond the point where others give up. His gaze turned distant, as if seeing the winding paths of fate. Loss can become gain, and gain can become loss. What you think is failure may be the beginning of your greatest strength. Everything is a lesson, even the pain. He let out a slow breath. There is no crime greater than too many desires. There is no disaster worse than being discontent. Desire blinds the heart. Contentment, however, makes you rich beyond measure. The elder's tone grew almost tender. Attack the evil inside you before you attack the evil in others. The greatest battle is always within. To conquer your anger, your jealousy, your greed, this is the true path to freedom. He looked around at the silent faces, each one absorbing his words like dry earth drinking the rain. By 3 methods we learn wisdom: through reflection, which is the noblest; through imitation, which is the easiest; and through experience, which is often the hardest. Remember this when you choose your path. The elder's voice softened to a near whisper, like the wind before dawn. The truth is not always beautiful. Beautiful words are not always true. Do not be fooled by sweetness on the tongue. Seek what is real, even if it stings. Finally, he stood, his shadow long against the dying fire. Life, he said, is what your thoughts make of it. Guard them well. For your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your character, and your character becomes your destiny. He looked at them one last time, his eyes warm but unyielding. Do not waste the days you are given. Live them as though each one is both your first and your last. That is the secret of life. The night grew still, the stars listening as though they, too, were students of his final words. And as the fire turned to ashes, the lessons hung in the air timeless, waiting to be remembered by those who are ready to live them.